What's up? It is story time. I have not made a story time video in a long time. And I'm going to try to keep it brief. I try to keep them all within like 10 minutes, which is still kind of a long time, but we're going to just bear with me. I'm fresh from the shower. I got my twists. I'm hydrated. My skin is moisturized. Ooh! You ever take a shower and you just feel good? Because I know I do. Listen, look at that. Look at that little, look at that bounce. Look at the health. Look at the self-care. Anyway, I hope you guys are all having a good quarantine. I know that a lot of us are dealing with stress and anxiety and stuff like that. In fact, I woke up today and I wasn't able to do my routine. My routine was out of whack. And I woke up pressed and upset and angry and like bothered. And I was like taking calls and I had jumped down this rabbit hole, and I've been kind of stuck in this funk where I'm like, okay, I can't go to work. Okay, I can't go to work. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I'm applying for every single retail, food, beverage, service, whatever. I'm applying for every odd job in town, finding out that half these places aren't running, and then the ones that are, they're only using as many people as they need. They are not using any more hands than they need to because they're trying to reduce foot traffic. They're trying to stop spreading as much germs. They're doing everything they can to keep people safe and just be efficient and not have a bunch of extra people in their store who are hired and working, but just kind of like extra hands not doing anything. And I get that. I get it. So there are some places that simply are not hiring. But, you know, as most artists out here know this, we're like the first thing to go when there's this big order that says, okay, if you're not a necessity, stay home. Of course, we're the first to get told to go home. All the actors, singers, musicians, especially the performing arts. But, you know, artists in general, we're the first to get sent home. So I take a break to tend to my home and to stop, you know, typing away at the computer and stressing myself out. And I say, you know what? Let me eat some lunch. You know what? Let me put up some of these dishes. You know what? Let me take out the trash. Let me cycle through some of this paper and cardboard and try to see if I can recycle some and get that cleared from my home and clear out some of that clutter. And I'm walking back and forth. It's taking some time. And I hear in my mind, as clear as day, I hear this message. You know, you should pack up your crystals, all of your charmed items and jewelry, all your sacred objects, your precious, sacred, charmed things, blessed, anointed items, put them in a jar and take them outside to charge. Go ahead and take your crystals for a walk, in a sense. So I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. So I do that, put all my crystals in a jar with, of course, a few jewelry items, and I have other objects that are powerful, and you know, anything you give power has power. So I like anointed things, crosses, things like that. I put them in a jar and I walk outside to this little like picnic table kind of area that's outside of where I live. And I'm sitting there and I hear, that ain't it. You got to get to the water. And I'm like, which water? They're like, where it leads to the sea. And I'm like, that's very specific, but not specific enough, but okay. So I get in my car and now I'm driving. I go to one of my favorite parks that you can like walk on a nature trail and like stare at a river, and it's really gorgeous. Of course it's closed, and there are like all these barricades up, and there are people lined up down the street trying to turn around. So I'm thinking, okay, plan B. So I think, okay, plan B is this other park. It's a little more into the town. There's a city area around it. It's not as nature-y as I want, but there is flowing water. There are places to sit, and I hear, yeah, go by the water and meditate. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, tight. So I drive like 20 minutes in the opposite direction. I'm like, I'm just going to find a place to sit and meditate. And then I think in my head, I immediately have this doubt, like, what if they're not open? And then I hear immediately, they're open, keep driving. So I go, I drive, I park. All this parking is available. There's literally like 2 or 3 cars and some people who are like over by what looks like a gift shop area. And they're just like sitting at those little tables. I walk past that little area onto the path where there's like all these little benches, and one of the benches has like this tiny little tree, and it's like this peaceful like sit under a tree and read kind of area, and it's the only like bench right there that has like a tree hovering over it, and I think that's my spot. Originally, I was looking for something with a lot of sun because I wanted to charge these crystals in the sun, which I can talk about that in another video. But we're going to get back to the story. I haven't done a story time in a long time, so just bear with me. So I finally find my spot. I'm in a park. It's not closed. There's like no people here except for the people who are by the gift shop having a little powwow, having a little moment. I sit, crisscross applesauce. I have my jars in my lap, and I start to do my thing. I just take my mindful breaths in and out, and I just turn that earth brain, that anxious, ticking time bomb brain, I turn it off. And I've practiced this for a long time. I'm to a point where I can just, let's go, let's snap into it. And I immediately see color start to open up, and I start to see what I would compare to like the Northern Lights. If you've ever like Googled like Alaska, Northern Lights, and you see all these like waves of color in the sky, it's kind of something like that, but think more foggy, more misty, more akin to orbs and bodies of light, as if the light could move and had its own sense of will, sense of self. But it's all like derived from the same thing. Like it feels like a body of something is dispersing. How can I describe this? Or like, think about if you Google a picture of a supernova, but you also Google a picture of Northern Lights. Think about those things coming together, having a baby, but being really like calm, like a calm version of that. That is what I see when I meditate a lot of times. I don't always see it. Sometimes I see it. I don't always see all these colors. And these are energies and these are frequencies that I recognize, and these are bodies of light and people. And I can talk about that in another video when I talk about bodies of light and I talk about like spirits. But we're going to stick to the story because I'm already running out of time. I have a timer up here. I try to keep it short. So I'm seeing all these bodies of light and all this color, and I'm filled with this sense of just like calm and surrender. And I hear, I'm with my family. We are with you. We are your family. We are with you. It is everything. We are everything. You have everything. I'm like, okay. And then I see the light start to kind of disperse. I see a lot of white start to open up, and then I see my angels that I usually see. I see the big blue and the big green and purple really quick, which was like right from underneath like that, which was really awesome. And those are bodies of light that I recognize, and it's good to have them like affirm the message. And then it starts to warm up and it just looks like sun behind my lids, and then I feel the need to like do this. Like it literally just feels like someone's pulling my eye open. So I open my eyes and I'm like, okay, it's done. Oh, that's settled then. Like it felt really short, but I'm sure I was sitting there for a long time, and it just felt really like, oh, 1, 2, 3, we're done. I get up, I go to gather my things and get up and walk back to my car, and then I look to my right and my left. There are several people who have found themselves a seat down the path, who are also crisscross applesauce, sitting there with their eyes closed, their face towards the sun, in front of the water. They're either watching the water rush by, they're either crying or they're praying. One girl had her cell phone out. She was playing like worship music. I had not heard the worship music until I had like snapped out of it, woken up, whatever, packed my things and got ready to leave. And it was just the most beautiful insanity, because I came to this spot after having such a mentally jarring kind of morning and just really stressing out. And I kept getting that sense of I'm with you, and you are with your family. You are not alone. I open my eyes and there are other people doing the exact same thing. Mind you, when I came there was no one on this path. I was alone. And I just think it's incredible. I did not say anything to them. I did not want to disturb them. We didn't say anything to each other. I just packed my things, went in my car, and moved on. And there's more to this story. I should probably make a part 2, but I want to keep this brief. If you're currently going through this crisis and going through this whole thing where you're really concerned about how you're going to make it and how it's going to work out, and it's easy to feel alone in that struggle, I guess just know that you're not. And somehow, I may not have the answer to how, but I just know like it's going to be okay. You're welcome. Thanks for coming to the story time. I'm going to sign out.